He's talking about, confiscating assets from the Russian people, just like you said. Well, that's pretty much illegal. They're having a lot of problems with that, and Europe does not want to do it, and that's where most of those assets are. But let's talk about what this really is, Steve. This is a war on Christianity. The Ukrainian government is attacking Christians. The Ukrainian government is executing priests. Russia is not doing that. They're not attacking Christianity. As a matter of fact, they seem to be protecting it. So that's something else that's clear and obvious to many people that are looking closely at what's going on.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has a very strong interest in protecting the image and character of Vladimir Putin during his ongoing war against Ukraine. And just like her prototype, she's using Christianity to convince gullible supporters that up is down, right is left, and that Russian aggression isn't targeting Christians, so that they'll agree with her stance for made-up reasons. And she has to know that telling the literal opposite of the truth would get looked over and debunked. But what MAGA politicians have learned is that even after being exposed for their lies, the majority of their base will toss it aside and continue to accept whatever it is that they're told. So when she needed to push it more, she went to the most Russia-friendly person that she could find.
Now, with the $60 billion going to a war in Ukraine, that 70% of Americans do not support it. That's the most recent polling. 70% of Americans, and the majority of Republicans do not support funding Ukraine. Mike Johnson has made a complete departure of who he is and what he stands for. And to the point where people are literally asking, is he blackmailed? What is wrong with him? Because he's completely disconnected with what we want.
Do you think he is being blackmailed?
I have no idea. I can't comprehend, Tucker, what radically changes a man.
Tucker's propaganda trip to Russia won him some extra points with Trump, since Putin is the MAGA leader's mentor. So Marge's plan to chat with him was a no-brainer. But one of her somewhat regular opponents from her own party, Representative Dan Crenshaw, is pissing off MAGA after pointing out some obvious truths about Tucker when he posted this. This is who Tucker is: a click chaser. Tucker's MO is simple: defend America's enemies and attack America's allies. There isn't an objective bone left in that washed-up news host's body. Mindless contrarianism is his guiding principle, buttressed by his childish tactic to just ask questions. But any educated adult, especially one with such a long career in journalism, should occasionally try answering some of those questions objectively. But he never does. Instead, he uses his platform to sow doubt and paranoia and false narratives. He does this for one simple reason: clicks and engagement, which of course translate to monetary benefit. He wants you to believe he's the last place you can go for truth, that he's the only one brave enough to reveal the elitist lies being told. This nonsense about Christian mistreatment in Israel is just the latest example. Tucker will eventually fade into nothingness because his veneer of faux intellectualism is quickly falling apart and revealing who he truly is: a cowardly, know-nothing elitist who is full of shit. Those points hit too close to home for some conservatives that have now turned on Crenshaw, with some calling him the male version of Liz Cheney. I guess we can add Republican Ken Buck to that list too.
If the speaker doesn't do what she wants regarding Ukraine, she's going to go ahead with what she can now do, right? Just takes one to force a vote on the speakership. Does it worry you that she has this much power in the House of Representatives?
Mike Johnson, the speaker, is on the right side of history, and Marjorie is on the wrong side of history. We know that Russia is propagating these false statements, narratives about what's going on in Ukraine. We know that she is getting her talking points from Russia. and we know that they're false. And Mike Johnson is doing the responsible thing by trying to make sure we get a vote on Ukraine funding, make sure that the Ukrainian people can fight for their freedom. The fact that Marjorie is continuing down this false path, I don't think many Republicans are going to support her. She was always focused on her social media account. And Moscow Marjorie is focused now on this Ukraine issue and getting her talking points from the Kremlin and making sure that she is popular and she is getting a lot of coverage.
Wow, Moscow Marge, huh? What Kittenbuck didn't pass along was why Marjorie Taylor Greene gets her talking points from Russia and why she simply doesn't care that everyone knows it. No matter how much some Republicans fight back against the Greenes and Gateses of Congress, damn near all of them refuse to make the connection to the leader of the party. Representative Greene is all over Putin and Russia because Donald Trump is all about Putin, publicly making promises to let him do whatever the hell he wants if he regains the White House. This time, without some former allies that decided to start telling the truth after he finished using them and kicked their asses to the side.
When it comes to this, your former boss, Donald Trump, has said multiple times that he believes he could end the war in Ukraine in just 24 hours. I mean, you were just there on the ground. How unrealistic is that comment?
Well, the only way you could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours would be by giving Vladimir Putin what he wants. And that's the last thing the United States should ever call upon Ukraine to do.